Go ahead, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat, and we'll just take them in the order in which they are received. And to kick things off, I think it's a great time to talk about oh, there you go. Okay, you want to get down? Okay, there you go. I think it's a great time to talk about some of the updates and really specifically getting into some of the stuff in the Meta Performance Summit. And with that in mind, there's three big topics that I think we really need to cover. The first one, hey, Samuel Thompson, good to see you, buddy. The first one being, oh, miss your face, dude. So the first one being, the summit was really covering three primary topics. The first one being creators and partnerships. The second one being incrementality, and the third one being AI. So put your questions up in the chat, and we will get to them in the order in which they're received. But the number one thing we want to cover first when it comes to creators and to partnerships is we've dealt a lot in the past with whitelisting and UGC and influencers and all of that stuff. The three big things that we need to know. First, Reels, in Facebook is prioritizing Reels as a placement, as basically its own delivery system, which is extremely exciting and also gives a great opportunity. What it also means is that unlike before where you would have somebody make content and write it up, you can do what we call partnership, which basically means that you are able to leverage the data of that person's Facebook and Instagram page. So if you want to reach a completely new audience, perhaps you're having this trouble of all of your ads going to all the same people and your customer acquisition cost is going through the roof. Finding creators who you enjoy, who speak to an audience that is not currently seeing your ads is one of the easiest ways of basically making sure that a whole bunch of brand new people, massively improving your first impression ratio, all of that stuff. And right now, because they're really trying to push partnerships, we are seeing that happen at very, very low CPMs. Basically, they are putting the thumb on the scale, basically giving us a cheat code to make sure that they make it cheap enough and successful enough for that people adopt it. We saw the same thing with catalog ads and DPA. We saw the same things at the launch of lead ads. We saw the same thing with CBO and dynamic creative. Basically, they know it's a little weird. They know that they're changing consumer behavior. And in order to get you to do it, they'll make it so cheap that it's impossible to not make money doing it, which basically means it's a great idea to take advantage of right away. Now, in getting those partnerships, there's a lot of different ways of doing it, but the easiest thing to do is just have whoever's posting for you or creating content, have them make a piece, have them make an ad that is a collaboration post. And then you can get, when you go to boost it or promote it, there's a thing called partnership code. At that post, either from you or from them, you can grab a code from your Instagram account or Facebook, wherever you're tagged. You can go to that actual post, and in the edit section or in the details of it, you'll be able to see the code, and you can drop that directly into your ad account. And that means that the machine will decide whether to show it as coming from your page, from their page, from both. It'll give you into that new auction system, which lowers CPMs and broader reach. And it means that you're leveraging the data of both their Facebook and Instagram account, as well as your own and your ad account. And this is one of the easiest ways to get creative diversity and to reach a ton of new people. Essentially put, this is a customer acquisition cheat code that'll probably last for 6 to 9 months until everybody starts adopting it. And probably by Black Friday, it'll get overused. They'll begin to take their thumb off the scale on the cheaper CPMs. And by Q1 of next year, it'll probably be standard. But right now, it's a really easy way, especially during the summer, to make sure that you're reaching net individuals. When you're making that content, though, one of the things that we need to be very mindful about is the safe zone on your Instagram content. If in your reels, you are not putting stuff into the safe zone, they are more aggressively inhibiting delivery, organic and paid. So if you are not within the safe zone, your views, your reach, and your conversion rates, everything's going to suffer. They're going to basically charge you more money to show your ads to lower quality individuals. So remember the safe zone. I have a video coming out in a couple of days. I'm currently finishing the edit on it. But if you want to know more about all of these details, I do have all of the decks from the Meta Performance Summit. I've got all of the decks that they gave to all of the speakers, and I'm giving them all away at disruptorschool.com/Meta Summit. It was just basically a lead form page to get the zip file so that you can get all this stuff. If you weren't spending $1 million a month, you weren't invited. I was there. I'm giving it all to you. And that's just the way so that I don't have to, approve sharing permissions on some Google Drive, which is a nightmare. When I first did that, I got 100 people in like 20 minutes, and I was just like, screw this. I'm just going to load it up on the page and make sure everybody can get it. So disruptorschool.com/meta summit. You'll be able to get all the decks and all the details, all the parameters and stuff we're talking about. So really prioritize your reels. Thank you, buddy. Really prioritize your reels. Also know that the audio, we are now supposed to design for sound on. The audio is now part of the delivery mechanism. So they are looking, it is not just B-roll audio. It is not just generic sound. They are specifically using the audio. They're basically importing the trending audio delivery mechanism from the organic side of Instagram into the ad account for partnership ads. So that's a cheat code. That's sort of your how-to. Go to the, thank you, Shin, for dropping the link in the chat. If anybody wants to go there and just snag it for free. I'm not trying to sell anything there. Just like go get it. There's no reason I should be sitting on all of that stuff. I think it's like it's probably 100 pages across 13 decks of stuff that like was restricted for anybody. Yeah, just like I said, $1 million a month at least to get even an invite. So let's make sure you all get that for free. Second big thing is incrementality. And the short piece to this is that you're going to hear a whole bunch of people talk about incremental attribution, and 99% of what I've been hearing from people is way complicated, regurgitated, bad information, and everybody's making it just way too difficult. I'm going to give you this shortcut on this stuff. Incremental attribution means you're optimizing for new customers. Standard attribution means you're optimizing for volume of customers. We have cost controls and we have maximized conversions. We have maximized value, which we'll get to more of that later. Think of standard attribution as trying to get you the lowest CPA. Incremental attribution as getting you the lowest CAC. Now, what that means is you will probably have a higher CPA, but more of the customers that buy from you on those ads will be net new. That's what it means. So there's a lot of fancy words. There's a ton of like just, the syllable salad coming out of just a bunch of people, making it way more complicated than it needs to be. What I will also tell you currently, as it stands, optimizing for new customer with a tool like Aimers, if you're on Shopify, which is, in my opinion, is the best attribution tech out there. It's cheaper than most and just a better mousetrap than everybody else has. And yes, I have a link for that if you want to check it out. It's Disruptor School, Aimers. I'm not involved in any way. All the tools and tech that I use, I just make available as subdomains on my site so that like I can just drive people there. That's AIMERCE. Bottom line, currently, if you're optimizing for the conversion event of a new customer, you are going to outperform incremental attribution. If you are not optimizing for a new customer event, this will make your new customers a larger percentage of the overall sales you get. Now, that being said, I fully expect by this time next year, incremental attribution to beat optimizing for new customers on the efficiency of getting a new customer with the ads that you've run. And that's basically because of one simple thing: advanced matching, the brain behind broad targeting. The reason that you should never be using audiences anymore, and probably shouldn't have for the last 7 years, is because Facebook is, or Meta now, is they pay me well enough to make content. I might as well respect their name. Meta now. The reason this matters is they are using all of the data from every user, from every engagement. Now, the thing is, when you use a custom conversion event, like a new customer from a resource like Aimers or any of the other folks, Elvar, Blotout, Popsicle, etc., that is your own data. You are not tapping into the new customer information from everybody. Incremental attribution, however, can tap into the standard event of purchase, meaning that it's using the data of every purchase event that has ever fired in the history of Meta, and every single user that's ever made a purchase on any website that has a Meta pixel to determine who to show your ads to. And it will use that data to try to find new people. The point of it now is the AI on incremental attribution is not quite mature enough yet to beat out optimizing for new customers, but it is going to learn, and it is going to learn fast. There are entire warehouses of NVIDIA chips just running on what they now call Andromeda, specifically to try to figure this stuff out. And like I said, I think like the partnership ads, by Q4, Black Friday, everybody's going to be trying this stuff out. And come January, February, everybody's going to repeat all the case studies of everybody that won Q4, and then mass adoption will occur. Right now, mass adoption hasn't gotten there yet. So the data on incremental attribution isn't nearly as good. So I might hold off on it right now, but the partnership ads, it is a rush to take advantage of the underpriced inventory. Just go and get the money. So it's an advantage when they cheat on the cost of advertising. It's a disadvantage when you're trying to leverage the data set. The attention is underpriced for partnerships, and the data isn't good enough yet on incremental. That's the big takeaway that you need to understand from all of that. The last thing is AI. And we heard this big thing before the Meta Performance Summit around how Zuck said all ads are going to be AI. Now, I've seen what that tech looks like, and it's actually not terrible, and it's not Meta basically making bad version of Chat GPT visualization stuff. Like, it's way more complex and actually very user friendly than that. But what I want you to also understand is when they're talking about AI, they're rebranding the term algorithm. So basically, when it says every ad is going to use AI, what it means is they're going to lean more into leveraging the NVIDIA chips and make the Andromeda algorithm smarter. So anytime you hear AI from Facebook, understand that or Meta, what they mean is algorithm. Almost none of the AI tech coming out is actually them making creatives. Almost none of it is them providing really bad copywriting. Yes, those are options, and I know I don't recommend you use them, but for the point of what you need to understand and looking through the lens, they are rebranding the term algorithm as AI. Now, the two biggest takeaways from that, and I'd love if anybody's got questions on this stuff, drop them in the chat and we'll get to them here in a minute. The two biggest takeaways on this stuff for you all. Number one of the biggest opportunities that they're leveraging right now is value optimization. Now, we've had value optimization where it targets individuals who are more likely to have a higher AOV. That's fun. It's useful in some cases. I love that if you have a very big catalog as a retargeting ad, where basically you're just hitting people with your hero offer and then you use a value optimization on a catalog against your retargeting audience to hit people that are likely to spend more money. That makes a lot of sense. Easy to do, turnkey solution and increase your AOV. Simple. What matters now is that you are going to be able to put in your profit per product, basically saying, we have a custom metric that I've been teaching everybody for the last maybe year or so called GPT, which is AOV minus CPA. Make that as a column inside of your dashboard. Everybody that I've been telling that to has now adopted it across everything that they do, from Ben Schreiber at Latico to the folks at Portland Leather and my friends at Original Grain. And the point is, it's everywhere. I'm not going to sit here just name dropping stuff. The point to all of this is that tells you your gross profit per transaction. That is infinitely more important than ROAS or CPA or trying to map out AOVs and all of that. The point is that's going to allow you to be able to afford more and more higher and higher customer acquisition costs and CPAs. Nate from Original Grain said this, and I think it's in an interview that'll come out in a week or two. Original Grain has basically doubled profits every year, and the CPA has gone up by 50%. And he's trying to find ways to push the CPA up even more. And it's because they've gotten better and better at focusing on the margin of profit that they make in absolute dollars for every transaction. Now, the beauty of this is you're going to be able to put that into the machine. In your catalog, essentially what this means is you're going to be able to say, when I sell this AirPod thing, I make, let's say this is an $80, I don't know how much these are, thanks to the SaaS companies that give these things away. I've never had like 3 of them. Let's say this thing, I sell it for $100 and my profit on it is like $5. Let's say this cup from Simple Modern, let's say I sell this thing for $20, but I actually make 10 on it. Now, that's profit, which is effectively COGS versus sale price, MSRP versus operating cost. While I could get a higher AOV on the sale of this, I actually make more profit on the sale of this. And big point here is you're going to now have a new option on the AI for optimizing for value for profit. Meaning you're going to be able to say what items, when I sell it, actually generate me the highest volume of profit in absolute dollars and cents. So you're going to be able to optimize for highest profitability, not based on attribution, not based on clicks, or not based on MER, or not based on any of this other stuff. You're going to be able to say, These are the items that have the greatest profit margin. Sell those items at the lowest CPA. That gives you a higher volume of transactions where you make more money per transaction. That is probably one of the sexiest things that has come out and something I'm currently leveraging in a few brands on some very big tests. So I can't tell you yet if it's doing great or not. What I can tell you is I know where they're going, and eventually it will be a no-brainer to use. It might not be there yet, but initial results are pretty good. I'll put it that way. I've noticed about 15 to 20% higher profit per sale when using it, especially when leveraging it with catalogs or driving the other trick that I've been telling everybody to do. And it's fun talking to guys from like True Classic and everyone else that is out doing this. It's like their best campaign right now. Running your top performing creatives, duplicating those ads, changing the URL on those ads, and running it in an ASC shopping campaign to your homepage, where you're basically saying, get me the lowest price, highest quality attention that's most eager to do something and engage, and then send those people to my front page so that they navigate my site like anybody would. Because fun fact, your homepage is probably your highest converting landing page that you have in your business. So with all that to be said, what I've been seeing is running that value optimization there has been really good, and catalogs have been really good. Again, that's value for profit. The other thing that I want to get to with AI, and then we'll dive into all of this, is more than ever using custom conversion events to tell the machine that's what using custom conversion events to measure things of value tells the machine what is important to you. So for instance, let's use my friends at Portland Leather Goods, McCoy and Matt and Curtis and all of them. Their number one reselling product is the circle bag. I think they've legitimately sold 1 million of those circle bags when last time I talked to them, which is crazy. They have a custom conversion event that says when somebody purchases that conversion bag, which is product ID contains the string of numbers for every variant ID on the circle bag. When a purchase event fires with that product ID, fire a custom conversion event of circle bag fire. Telling the machine what's important to you allows you to leverage it. The machine will start to go after those things more aggressively. So if you begin to tell it what is important, say you have a store of 20 items or 500, if you're drop shipping or print on demand folks, this is an incredible way of trying to get people to buy the items that lead to higher second purchase rates. If you're somebody that has a buy one at a certain price, buy two at a certain price, and buy three at a certain price, and for you, you're price anchoring it so the buy two is the best offer, make the buy two option its own custom conversion event, and the machine will drive more people towards that thing. Basically, the AI is getting better and better at taking the signals of what our goals are and optimizing the delivery and performance of the machine at getting us that stuff, which is just fantastic. And I mean, we've been tracking stuff like this for years, but the fact that it's now going into the delivery system and the AI is taking account of it is incredible. That's just, I have found 30 to 40% higher match rates on what the what the purchases from that campaign are, tying back to what the ads are in that campaign when doing this stuff. And that number used to be like 15%. And that has dramatically changed since like December. So all that to be said, we do have a great question in here. I want to get to it. Thanks, Shin, for pointing this out. I think it's from Ben, if I remember correctly. I heard that partnership ads, collaboration ads, have a different auction system compared to normal ads, meaning lower CPMs and lower CPR. Any truth to that? The answer to that question is it is the same auction system. However, there is a bid multiplier. So the way that the machine works is every impression, whether it's organic or paid, goes through the same delivery system. What matters here in the auction goes through the same auction system. Basically, who's going to see what? What matters here is how much it costs to get your ad to be shown to somebody. And this is what we call bids. Now you can do bid caps and stuff like that. I'm sure you may or may not be familiar with that. And cost caps is a modified version of bid caps, which back in the day used to be used to basically beat CPM purchases for like video view campaigns. And I used it when I was spending $1 million a day to promote like CBS television shows. The point of this is what it is doing is basically saying that it is going to give you a lower bid So you are going to be charged the same. But the way the machine works is it doesn't give when there's an auction that happens and somebody opens up their phone and swipes or refreshes, it doesn't give the impression to the highest bid. Bid is part of the equation. It's bid, it's also estimated action rate, and some algebra going around whether or not that person is actually interested in the content and whether they're likely to take the action that you're optimizing towards. What matters here is that all equates into what it costs for you to show your ad to somebody. And we measure that primarily in CPM. What does it cost to show to 1,000? What does 1,000 impressions cost? Where this really matters is that they're discounting that CPM. They're basically saying your normal bid might be $20. We're going to give it to you, but at 18 or at 15 or at 10. And that's incredible. The interesting thing about this too is the more you use partners where their audience is a smaller overlap than yours. One of the things that you'll notice on the CPMs is not just the actual CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions, but if you begin to measure cost per 1,000 account centers reached, which is easy to do if you open up your dashboard to the custom conversions, you go to your columns and customize your columns. You type in the number 1. The very first thing that pops up is cost per 1,000 account centers reached. And the big difference here is that's a CPM, but it's unique CPM. So that's essentially the cost of incrementality. How much does it cost to reach new people? And when you focus on individuals who have an audience with a smaller overlap than with your own. So I have an audience here, somebody else has an audience, and there's like one person that shares both. That cost per 1,000 individuals is a lot cheaper. When the overlap is a lot higher, that the frequency goes up, basically, is what this is doing. And the cost to reach new people goes up. So the cost for incrementality is higher. What this really means is find creators who you like. Find creators whose audience isn't necessarily somebody who's already paying attention to you. And you will get much, much better results. A great example of this that I'll cite, and then we see a great question from Sean, so I'm gonna bring you up on that, Sean. A great example of this is there's this woman who's at the Performance Summit, and she's a creator on DIY furniture. Now, she does a bunch of fun stuff. She makes side tables, all sorts of whatever else, and she uses tools and really engaging. When she does collaborations and partnership posts with furniture, the Wayfairs of the world, etc., it does okay. When somebody comes to her for like a meal plan or like skincare, something like that, those posts do phenomenally. It brings her a ton of new followers, and it brings tremendous results to the people that are hiring her, because her audience isn't seeing that normal content because our feeds are so dialed in and customized. It's basically just forcing an entire new group of people into your content, which is incredible. Another great example of this, a problem and solution, my buddy David runs the ads for a company called Woobles that does all of the crochet animals and stuff. Now, Woobles has this terrible problem of being very, very good at finding their target customer. The problem is the machine thinks their target customer is basically crafters on Etsy. And to be fair, they built like a $50 or $100 million business on doing that. But their ads are always reaching the same people. So the way we fix this problem is they can go after creators that don't have an audience of crafters. They can go after mommy bloggers. They could go after dad groups. They could go after any sorts of individuals. And there might be some overlap, but the smaller the overlap, basically the Venn diagram of the Woobles audience and that creator's audience, the smaller that overlap, the greater the incremental reach that's going to come from those ad dollars and the better the performance. They're bringing in a whole bunch of net new individuals into the business, and the creators are getting huge benefits from it because their content is being shown to a whole bunch of people that aren't normally seeing it. So it's a very great simpatico win-win relationship. It's very different than the whitelisting that we've had before. So that's really what it matters. The beautiful thing with that is you're getting lower cost per result because the CPMs are cheaper and they're just cheating for you. Plus, those individuals are not that your ad gets shown to might be different. And what that means is those are individuals who might be in market for what you have to sell, but the machine hasn't determined to show them ads. So they're seeing your content because they might be interested, but they haven't given the machine enough signals to prioritize delivery of ad spend. So it's a great way for you to reach a high quality incremental audience to getting you a lower CPA and ultimately get you more net new customers in a way where it also makes the creator's account get a lot better. They'll get a ton of followers, you'll make more money. So that's really what it's about. And it's I think you probably got 9 months before the cheat code kind of goes away, but I know some brands that I fully expect to have this be 90% of their ad strategy next year. And it's completely doable. A great example of what looked like this, a great example of what this looked like for one brand in particular. I was running the ads for New Balance when they wanted to get younger and wanted to get cool, and they hired that new CMO and everything. For 18 months, basically what we did, this is in the days of whitelisting and all of that stuff. What we did was they spent 10% of their budget basically trying to reach like celebrities. What we did is we flipped it. We took 80% of the budget and went after influencers. We took 80% of the budget and ran ads from cool people that were younger. And what happened is all of their audiences began to think that New Balance was great and cool. And here's the thing. It took about 18 months for that to work. And then everything changed. I saw this great video from Alex Hormozy. I think it's maybe an Instagram reel or YouTube short. But if you go to his account, you'll be able to see more on that. Not to steal his thunder, and there's a lot of other questions. But the point is, flooding the market, flooding a new incremental audience with more than one touch point is great. So I'll close on this for strategy. Don't go after one person in that space and see if it's good. Go after 3, go after 5, go after 10. And if you don't know how to find them, there's a great Instagram creator marketplace, or use a tool like Incense. I've been using Incense since like 2018. I think they're incredible. You can easily get away with spending $200, $300, $400. Like if you have $10,000 right now to spend, instead of hiring one person, I would grab 20 at 500 across 4 or 5 different markets. And a great example of this, just so you know, and then we'll leave on this note, when I was running the ads for 310 Nutrition, one of the things we did so that I could help them get from 15 million to 98 in 20 months was we went after women that were on Real Housewives. And basically what it meant is Real Housewives have, New York, Beverly Hills, Atlanta. And really what that means is there's like a 10 episode, 13 episode series, and then it ends, and then a week later, the next one starts. And so it's on year round. But that is 1 or 2 women from each one. And so if you were a fan of any show, you were likely a fan of multiple shows, and you were likely fans of multiple women on multiple shows, and we had every single one of them hitting you. That meant it wasn't just one ad. It was the culmination of the entire portfolio. And that, like I said, basically 6x that business in a year and a half. That wasn't the only thing that worked, but it was very, very effective. So that all being said, let's get into some of these questions. It's loading up. I love it. All right, Sean. Sean, if you want to come on and ask your question, otherwise I can just read it. Up to you. I'll let you take it. We'll give you a second if you want to hop in. Otherwise, I'll just jump in. All right, I'll take it. All right, Sean says, a few $1 million wellness CPG brand here. Never ran a single Meta ad yet. What should I start with? Is there initial low-hanging fruit that we should be taking advantage of? There you go, Sean. Hi. If you don't mind, I'm just going to bring you up in here. Replace pin. Boom. There you go. So, Sean, first off, well done. Second, the initial place to start, and this is one thing I tell for everybody. You've been told, like, go prospect and bring net new people, whether it's exclude everybody that's been to your website and exclude all buyers and all of this other stuff. That works if you're doing like $100 million. That's a great strategy for True Classic that's going to, or HexClad that might do legitimately $1 billion. You don't need to do that. What I recommend is actually focus on those individuals. If you have, I would build up my social media accounts. This is something we call broad retargeting. If you focus on your site traffic and people that have engaged with your social media accounts, my number one audience for this is site traffic and Instagram and Facebook engagers for like the last 30 days. It's recent enough to have some intent and hopefully large enough for you to be able to scale into. The point is, if you can make that profitable, you can scale. And what I would love for you to hear, what I would love for you to get to the place is, well, we started at like $50 a day. Now we're at 1,000 and we need to get bigger than that. Awesome. You got to $1,000 a day problem where now you trained ads to be absolute crushing. And you just take your absolute best ones and you send those products. So what you're doing is you're going after what's in your backyard. You're crushing in the backyard and you're just making up so that you basically get one thing that occupies the entire space and is the dominant, like, great white shark in the backyard pool. Then you let that thing out into the world. If you're competing out in the whole world against everybody, it's like that. I've never played the game, but I get the ads all the time. The little like one fish. It's like, gotta eat the one, and then there's like the big like megalodon coming after it. Like, be the megalodon before you go out into the big world. Doing that alone, you're gonna see higher CPMs. You're probably gonna struggle on a bunch of other stuff, but your cost per conversion is gonna be something that allows you to have a profitable transaction for every sale. You're going to acquire customers, acquire transactions in a way is effective for you. And what you're trying to do in that space is not be profitable according to attribution. Attribution doesn't matter. And attribution as a concept is a complete fallacy. What matters for you is when I raise my ad spend, what happens to my overall volume of transactions? If my volume of transactions as the denominator divided from the numerator, which is my ad spend, the fraction of that brings me a blended CPA that is below my AOV, I'm profitable. Then volume of profit you make is taking that times as many transactions as you have. Now, the beautiful thing about that is if you make $5 per sale, but you make 1 million sales, you make $5. If you make $100 per sale, but you only make 10 sales, well, you only made $1,000. So the point is, the more volume you get, the lower that gross profit per transaction needs to be. Right? And so this will allow you to focus on the lowest hanging fruit that's going to be the most, just getting people across the finish line that are already brand and product and all this aware. You don't have to just go out into the world and try to get people to fuck at hello. You just got to get the people who are already on the fence to commit. That alone will make a huge impact on your bottom line. And as you train ads to do that well, and they collect data, taking that out into the bigger world, you're only letting killers out of the backyard. And then they live by everything they can catch, kill, and eat. But you train them to be studs before ever giving them that challenge. That means the confidence you're going to have at scaling beyond what's low-hanging fruit is going to be a lot higher. And I've got schools and academy. I do a lot of teaching and stuff. One of the things I have is Disruptor Academy. It's a community on school. Check it out if you're interested. I'm not here to sell it, but we had a call last week where once a month we break down everybody's ad account. It's just like live audits. We get 5, 10 people in, whatever we can do. One guy was running a business where that's all he was doing. He was running he was running some money promoting some Instagram content. And then he was retargeting everybody who'd been to the site and engaged with this Instagram. Doing that alone, no prospecting. He was doing 80K a month in profit, and he got there from 15K a month in revenue in like 3 months because he was just taking advantage of the audience he built. Sell to the people who are ready to buy. And then basically you have to get away from this mindset of, when I went to business school, I was taught you make a good product, you charge a decent price, you get good customer support, and you go out and try to find customers. That's great. But like, if you want fuck you money, you build an audience and then you give them whatever they're looking for. That's the much easier way to do substantially higher numbers much, much faster. And it's not available in the real world, but on the internet, that's stupid easy to do. Because I was about to say algorithm. Let me update the AI is now a lot better at basically just curating feeds. So you need to be if you earn somebody's attention, if you're in their feed and they engage with you, and then you let them know that you have something, then you're delivering on that promise. You're starting like Simon Sinek's, you're starting with the golden circle. You're starting with the why. And then it's a lot easier to make sales. And I have a YouTube channel called Disruptor Academy. There's a video on it called How to Crush Facebook Ads on a Small Budget. I teach people how to run this at $100 a month. Now, with a couple million, you might start at a greater number than that, but like it works very small. And I have a brand we're spending $50,000 a day right now and probably 5,000, 6,000 of it is just this. And the point is, you don't need to go out into the big bad world. The AI is really smart. It knows who cares about you. Just sell to those people until you run out of them. Then you can move up with the studs that you've built. Does that make sense? Awesome. Fantastic. And feel free to message me if you want any more help, man. I'm in the Slack. I'm all around. I'm on all the things except LinkedIn. I'm currently blocked on LinkedIn because I had a VA DMing people, and apparently we sent too many DMs because some post was like, just like, here's a link to the video, and like 1,000 people hit it, and she just spammed like 400 people in a day. And then they were like, if anybody knows people at LinkedIn, I'm in this circle of like trying to approve my ID card, but it's in this like infinite loop, and I'm in a doom spiral. So anywhere other than LinkedIn, I can get back to you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man, no problem. Glad to help. Great question too, and well done without a single meta ad. I'm assuming you're either phenomenal at affiliate or PPC. Either one of those means you're getting a fair amount of traffic, and you can just get those people across the finish line. You're going to do well. All right. Ben, thanks for the answer. Very insightful. Yeah. Great tool to tap into verticals. Love it. All right. Felicia, I'm guessing that's the name. If you want to come up, so I'll give you a moment if you want to hop on camera. Otherwise, I'll just read your question out. No rush, no right or wrong. But let me get started here. Smaller women's clothing brand here. Current revenue of 40 to 50K per month. Is it realistically to run ads in-house without an agency? First off, well done. Over 1,000 a day. That's incredible. Second, yes, absolutely. I think 90% of, we'll do the 80-20 rule. 80% of people who hire an agency absolutely don't need one. And I think 80% of agencies aren't actually good for the brands that they have. And I say that as a guy that has an agency and has run agencies. I think the vast majority of them aren't good at what they do. I'll put it that way. Their objectives are misaligned with the clients. I'm of the opinion that my report as an agency doesn't matter. I don't care about my ROAS. We all have one boss, and that's the bank account. If your bank account doesn't look better because you're working with me, then you should fire me no matter what my report says. And regardless of what my report says, if we work together and it looks better, I'm doing my job. Done deal. Let's just make everybody happy and we'll be good to go. So all that to be said, does it make sense to scale paid ads right now? Well, I don't know if you're running 100,000 a month on paid ads. No. If you're running 1,000 a month on paid ads, the answer is yes. I don't know your profit margins and all of that stuff, but I mean, you're asking the guy with the hammer and you have a nail, should we use it? So I'm going to say yes, but there's obviously caveats there. And I will also say this. If it's not a skill set that you want to own, and it's not a skill set you think is worth your time, or if you're an operator at capacity, don't worry about trying to get good at it. Work with somebody that you can trust. I'm happy to have a chat with you. I'm not trying to make this a sales pitch. I'm just saying, don't add another thing to your plate if you're already at capacity and busy with other stuff. Doing that job poorly will do more harm than good. Hiring the wrong person will do you more harm than good. What I would say, if you're trying to hire somebody, whether it's me or anybody else, they should be focused on understanding how they amplify your business model. They should never use the term ROAS or MER in their sales pitch. And their number one definition of success is the volume of profit that you make as the business each month, if that's your goal in scaling your business. Or your volume of profit grows or it stays the same at higher volume. Either you're growing top line or bottom line. If they're not talking to you like a banker and they're not focused on being a productive and contributing member to the team, they shouldn't be anybody to waste your money on, because I guarantee you're going to fire them. And it is a hard time out there in the streets, and there's a ton of, there are some low integrity operators, and there are just some folks that just don't know better yet, and that's fine. The last thing I would say is, if you're gonna hire an agency, work with somebody where the person that sold you is the person working on the account, or the person running your ads doesn't get paid if you don't get good results. If they get a paycheck, regardless of your performance, understand that you're basically paying for that person to go to college, and they don't give a damn about your bottom line. And that's just the hard truth of it. I'm going to be brutal with that. Now, what would you recommend as a starting budget to maximize efficiency and growth at this stage? The number one thing I would say is, what can you afford? What I mean by that is, when I talk to brands, my number one thing that I tell them is, let's focus on a total loss investment. How much money could you take off the top of the business right now? And it might suck, but you're okay, right? At 40, 50,000. What if you lost 5 grand? Would you be okay? What if you lost 10? At what point is that painful for you? I'd be looking at what profit volume am I willing to invest in the growth of my business? And I also, so that would be my ad spend. Now you're going to hire somebody to work on the ads for you. Understand that there is a timeline, there's a horizon to profitability on that relationship. Odds are they're not going to pay for themselves on the first month. And you have to make that decision knowing that, right? It's like when you hire somebody, odds are they're not going to be nearly as good as the person you fired on day one. And if they were, it probably means either the person you fired was terrible, or the person you hired, the bar of success is so low that it was probably good that you did it, but like, are they going to get much better? Odds are no. And I'm very, very suspicious of any agency that triples results in 30 days or anything like that. Like those are all, generally speaking, and I see this a lot in cost cap agencies. The way they do that is by pillaging your funnel and using attribution to take credit for the work of other people. And the way that they run that business is an unsustainable model. So those are all the things that I think are really important to look at. But I would be looking at understanding what's my business goal, top line growth, bottom line growth. Do I want a higher volume of profit per month, or do I want more customers? I know we want both. Which one is more important? Define a value and put it. What I want you to do is be able to write a number on a sticky note, and you either need to get above or below that number. That's how you define success. If you can make it that simple, then it is a fantastic investment. And if you need help getting to that number, I'm glad to chat with you sometime. We do other things, but I'm happy to help out in that space. But it seems to me like if you're already at the 500,000 mark, running ads is important. But if it's not your core competency and you're around 500,000, you're either scaling really quickly or you are overburdened with a lot of stuff. And that's where, like, if you're gonna run ads in-house, I would invest in learning how to do them really well or outsourcing that work until you get to a place where you're no longer an operator at capacity and you can own that information and really pass that along to your team. But if you can't own the process, you're just hiring people or just trying to get somebody else that isn't good at it to do the job well, you're going to be in a tough place. So I think most businesses succeed when the owner is the best person at the room at what they do and everybody else is better than them. But if you can't appreciate what is good or bad work, it's hard to get to that place. So anyway, I hope that helps. Vinny in here. I'm being a little colloquial with Vinny, but you're welcome, Priscilla. And hey, DM me, happy to help. Buddy, let me help you out. How can I help? You have a great question here. I can ask it for you if you want. Okay. Let me do this for you. Boom. Okay. Now that most accounts do not have the option to create advantage shopping, as all campaigns are Advantage Plus, how do you recommend we structure? Okay, one thing. It is not that all campaigns are now Advantage Plus. It is that Advantage Plus is a state of being. So every campaign starts, remember, Advantage Plus is code word for automation. Automation relies on AI. So think of it as how much AI are you using? Every campaign starts in the default mode of every decision is made by AI outside of like the image, right? Every decision is made by AI. The more decisions that you make, basically, the less you let AI be the decision maker, the further out of the Advantage Plus state your ad account will be in. And it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But understand that Advantage shopping versus manual is now, they basically removed that barrier. And you can take what would be an ASC campaign, Advantage shopping campaign, and turn it into a manual just by using audiences instead of advanced targeting, or using manual placements, or Controlling the budgets at the ad set level, which I highly recommend you don't do. And if people tell you to do it, listen to people that actually want to make money. Um, my point to that is, I just want to clarify that. Now, how do you recommend we structure a seasonal promo campaign for special offers such as Black Friday or these types of actions? First off, your ads that are currently running are going to be your best ads during Black Friday, almost always. I've done a dozen Black Fridays at this point, and almost for the last 6 or 7 years, the best ads during Black Friday are the ads that were running before Black Friday. And so just keep that in mind. Black Friday is an influx of inventory of people that are, it's an influx of high quality inventory. Basically, there are more impressions that you can buy of people who want to make purchases. Black Friday itself doesn't make specific ads better or worse. It just makes the ads that are smart have more opportunity to succeed. So one of those things that I hope you hear from that is you don't need a Black Friday campaign. You don't need, like, my recommendation is if you're going to plan for Black Friday, start scaling things up in October. My number one goal for you is have a clear profit volume target for Q4. Hit it before Black Friday. And then when Black Friday turns, you just turn off all of your top of funnel ads. Just straight up, just cut your ad budget. You already hit your profit target. Just let the bottom of funnel stuff be hyper profitable and just collect money. Like, you don't need to play the game if you already win. Does that make sense? So be aggressive with your targets, but your number one Q4 goal should be to hit that number before Black Friday hits. If you can get that number before Black Friday, the rest of the year is just straight profit, and you're going to be a lot better off. Now, the same thing happens for Q5, which is the day after Christmas, although you can't light that up beforehand, but that's another huge run. If you have some seasonal promo campaigns, first off, I would very much recommend, if you're going to run a promotion, don't do like site-wide discounts and stuff like that. Like, that's terrible. Yes, the big brands are going to do it because they are retailers dealing in volume. You do not have Best Buy money. Don't play the Best Buy game, right? Like, if you're a sneaker company, sure, you could just hire LeBron or Michael Jordan to be your sponsor, but odds are you're not going to be able to afford to do that. So don't run that playbook. Discounting your products is the same thing. What you can do is say that it's actually a discount on high value people. So instead of discounting your products, make higher priced bundles, make more aggressive offers. You're going to be able to sell that thing at a lower price than normal. It is not the opportunity to run discounts. You do not want to use Black Friday as a way to get a higher volume of really bad customers. Because also, if price is the reason they buy, the likelihood of them buying again is a lot less. Price conscious consumers are the least brand loyal. Instead of thinking of Black Friday as an opportunity to run discounts, think of it as an opportunity to buy customers at a discount. So focus on the highest value customers. So you can go after, if your normal AOV is $100, sell a product that's $250. Sell a bundle that's $300. You'll get those customers for cheaper than normal during Black Friday. Spike your AOVs, spike your profit volumes. That also means that when the Black Friday promotion ends, you haven't completely just destroyed your marketing funnel. So you won't see this huge just trough of performance when Black Friday is done. So you'll see more sustainable results afterwards. Now, with the question of, so you do specific campaigns or actions, I don't mind running some cost control stuff at like 5-10% of my budget alongside of it, just to take advantage of the inventory and scale faster. That's totally fine. And do you want to run those as control ads? First off, I would be fine running my Black Friday ads inside of my normal business as usual campaigns. And if they work, I'm not turning them off. I understand your Black Friday was over on like November 15th or whatever, or December 3rd or whatever. But I run Black Friday ads until May. I've run Black Friday ads for like a year. If it works, it works. Who cares? The honest truth is, like, do you want to be like really stoked about the continuity of all of your advertising, or do you want to be stoked about the size of your bank account? If somebody sees a Black Friday ad, it's like, holy shit, they let this promo up. I'm going to take advantage of it. Here's all my money. Fantastic. I quite legitimately, and I have a shapewear business that I'm a partner in under Outfit. And we're doing 1 to 2 million a week right now. We ran a Black Friday ad. We started running it in March on Roku TV. That ad was from the previous year. We got a ton of traffic. And a ton of customers, it's like, oh man, you guys have Black Friday ad running. I took advantage of it, but you should take it down. Like, you just gave me a ton of money and you want me to stop running the ad. Oh, like it was a strategic effort and these stuff are still running. So, fun. It's months later. So the point is, don't think of these promotional periods as opportunities where you need to come out a ton of new creative. Basically meaning don't use high leverage points as a reason to hire a whole bunch of employees that suck at their job and to throw them into the mix. Use it as an opportunity to leverage the things that are really good and focus on trying to buy higher quality customers. Remember, if you're playing this game right, you are not trying to sell anything you can at a profit. D2C doesn't work like that. That's retail. You are not trying to be profitable on every single sale. Sure, you want to be profitable as a business. The way you got to be thinking about your economics is you're actually trying to buy customer journeys. You are trying to buy cash flow. Every new customer is an investment cycle, whether they buy twice or 5 times. And if you tell me, well, I can't afford to do that because nobody ever buys from me twice, my number one suggestion to you is build a better business. That's harsh, but it's true. Now, the easiest way for you to improve that stuff, because I deal with people on $1 million sellers all the time. I was at this event. I was at the Ecom Summit earlier. Shout out to Nick and the limited supply crew and Dylan and Dan and all those folks. There was a lot of $1 million sellers there. And the number one piece of advice that I give to everybody that's crushing on Amazon, crushing on print on demand, or like Etsy and all of that stuff, and trying to get into Shopify. First off, you can't look at the data on Amazon because they don't give it to you, but you probably are running 5-10% of your revenues coming from Shopify now. If you're halfway decent, look at, and if you have more than that, even better. Look at all the receipts from the last year. Download all of your transactions. Understand, is this a new customer or returning customer? What I want you to have is name, whether they're new or returning, what they bought and the day. You can take that, throw that into ChatGPT if you're not good at Excel. What you basically want to do is say, you want to sort that data or ask Chat the question. Look at all my returning customers. What was the most commonly bought item when they were new? What you're looking for is what is the item when somebody buys that have the highest propensity to become a repeat buyer? Simply put in a different way, if I have a steakhouse and you come here and get the fish and chips and a wedge salad and it's not that great, you're never going to come back. But if I have a steakhouse and your friend comes with you and they get the filet mignon and it's the best they've ever had, they're going to come back again and again and bring their friends with them. The point is sell the steak. Now, to be clear, I might make $50 selling the fish and chips. I might lose $5 selling that steak on day one. But every time I advertise to promote the fish and chips, I'm losing hundreds of dollars on everybody who buys, because the opportunity cost of not investing in somebody that's likely to buy again and again is a massive, massive liability to the growth of my business. And if you're running a business, you're in D2C, then you are not focused on being a salesperson. You are buying customer journeys. That's the game. So I hope that helps. I see we got a couple other questions, and so I think we got 2 more here. So let's leverage these 2, Chin, and then we'll get out of here. All right, Jack, I see you here. I can bring you on up, Jack, if you want. Otherwise, I can just go ahead and read it off for you if you don't want to come on. Okay, I'll just take it. Here we go. Men's apparel brand, pre-launch and trying to figure out a creative plan. Any recent trends on what type of homegrown creative is working versus not? Well, Jack, you're in a great place because there's no right or wrong answer to what you're doing. That's also a tough place to be. Here's my number one recommendation. If you're pre-launch, test everything out on organic social. I'd be fine putting $10 behind every Instagram post and trying every idea that I have for ads as an Instagram post. $10 a day, post 2 or 3 things a day, throw $10 behind them all, $5 behind them all, doesn't matter. Which ones get more comments? Which one gets more shares? Which ones get more views? Which ones get more follows? That's the most important thing. What you're looking for is accounts engaged. When you open up Instagram, you'll see accounts, you'll see a whole bunch of insights. And let me see if I can just pull one of these up here real quick, just so I can show you exactly what this looks like behind the dash with a thing that I have that's going very well right now. Here we go. Here's this one. Boom. And then this one. All right. So this is Instagram, right? Now what I've done is I've gone into the post and looked at the insights of the post. Now when doing that, you're going to see all of this fun info. So this is just an Instagram reel, B-roll, me, just telling a story. I've got 132,000 views, right? Accounts reach 69,000. 88% of them are non-followers. What matters is I have 3,400 accounts engaged and 1,100 followers. I know that this is a great way of getting somebody's attention. If I'm trying to sell whatever I talk about in this content, I'm going to do a very good job of it. Now, this piece of content happens to tell my story. And so when people follow this, my account because of this, or they engage on this, and then I hit them with an ad to join my program on school or for my high ticket training program, the likelihood of somebody that watches this and being interested in buying is really, really high. I don't have to go out after strangers, just like we were talking about before with the wellness brand. Yeah, the guy before. So the point of this is run that kind of stuff right now. Understand how you can best get attention and get people to care. That might be reels, it might be statics, it might be get ready with me, it might be style guides. I can't tell you. And the honest truth is nobody can tell you, because what you do well is all that matters. How you execute is far more important. A+ execution on a C+ idea is way better than C+ execution on the best idea in the world when it comes to trying to build a business. So do what you can do well and do what you can repeat. If you hit a home run but you can't do it again, that was a fun day. If you can repeat it over and over again and it's scalable, that could be a great year. And focus on those types of things, Jack. So if you were to do that, that's where I would start, and then run the same playbook I told you before. I told our buddy before, I think it was, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Jack. No, who was it? Now I just totally forgot. Earlier in this, around the, you can check out the YouTube video, How to Crush Facebook Ads on a Small Budget, from the Disruptor Academy YouTube channel. I'm just going to pull that up real quick so you guys know that you're looking at the right thing. Go, boom. I'm going to pull up this channel and then get this video. Okay. Oh, okay. Here. All right. This, share, this guy, boom. Awesome. This is the Disruptor Academy channel. It's at Disruptor Academy. And this is the video. How to crush Facebook ads with a low budget. Boom. That one. It's the #1 video. This is a brand new channel. So check it out. That will give you the step-by-step guide, screen shares, literally everything you need to do to go from zero to, like I said, one dude's doing 80K a month in profit on his business running this exact playbook. So, anybody can do it. I don't think that guy's terribly brilliant and his business model isn't terribly great, but he's doing A+ execution, and that's all that really matters. All right. Scaling strategy. Okay, great. So we got one last question here. Ben, new men's apparel, 2 men's apparel business. Great. By the way, fantastic. Plenty of money in the world. Glad you're both here. New men's apparel company. Currently doing around 1,000 a day. Love it. Meta being our top contributor. And operating a limited budget, scaling budget is proving difficult because weekly performance is so volatile. Get it. So I prioritize account structure, or should I prioritize account structure, optimization, or creative diversity in order to find the most consistent results? If you want consistent results, have fewer moving parts. #1 way to get to a stable result is not have a ton of ads. The more ads you have and the more items that you're promoting, the less stable your results are going to be. So I would focus on either running catalog, because it's an apparel company, so you're just trying to figure out what your hero product is, or if you're currently doing 1,000 a day in rev, what's the #1 selling product? What is the product that's most likely getting people to come back and buy a second time? Run all of your ads to that product. Get rid of everything that gets in the way of that. You can run this entire account on one campaign, one ad set of your best ads that promote the product, and maybe 1 or 2 ad sets with 322 flex ads, specifically designed to improve the operation of that campaign. And there's something we call a 4PI analysis. And I've got videos on that stuff. Google it, throw it into ChatGPT, which is fun to show up there now. But just check out 4PI analysis. Figure out which of your ads are doing their job most poorly and replace them with creative testing. And ultimately, your #1 focus shouldn't be doing anything more than, can I increase my budget a couple times a week? I would not look at ROAS. I would not look at anything else. What I've been looking at is, I think ROAS is a really bad number, by the way. I think the concept of attribution is bad. There's no way you can say that any ad is the reason that something happened. You could stop all of your ads tomorrow, and somebody saw an ad today will buy tomorrow. So then your ROAS would be infinity. and somebody's buying today because of an ad they saw last week. So there's no way to tie ad spend to revenue, and there's no way to tie one ad to an action. There's a lot of people that swear by it, but they're wrong. When you follow it out, that's why that even Meta on stage said that we've all been told a lie and ROAS is nonsense. And there's an entire day at the summit basically of talking about how you need to be thinking about your results in a different way than who gets credit by being the last click. Because there are people buying that aren't even clicking on your ads, but they see them and buy. So my point to that is simple. The simplest ad account possible. Solve the problem in the simplest way. If you can solve it in the simplest way with the fewest moving parts, that outcome will be as stable as possible. If you have a stable, consistent, and projectable outcome, your job is to operate the business where you're saying, when you ask yourself the question of, can I raise my budget? The answer is yes. Now, if you're right on the edge and it's difficult, I would ask yourself, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, am I comfortable raising my budget by 5%? The answer might be yes. The answer might be no, based on a trailing 7-day average and your month-to-date targets. Because it might be a bad week, but a great month, in which case, screw it, just keep going. The reason for that is, if you can say yes to 5% 3 times a week, in a month, you'll double your budget. Over a year, $500 becomes $133,000. Now, you're probably not going to get to $133,000. I'm not saying that you will, but what matters is set yourself up for that to be the problem. Now, all you have to do in managing your ad account is make sure that you say yes more often than no. And that might be AOV, it might be CPA, it might be being more aggressive on search, more aggressive on email, better on your upsells, whatever it is. All you need to do is take a look at the overall volume of profit in the business and say, can I spend 5% more tomorrow? Your budget is currently $100. Are you okay with 105? And do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Focusing on that is a much easier way to scale the business. Another way of looking at it is, if that is not something you can wrap your head around, you can look at it like this. What percentage of your profit are you willing to have as an ad budget? Now your goal is, if my profit volume goes up each month, I'm just increasing my budget based on that profit volume. What's my rolling 30-day volume of profit? And as long as I'm in the business, as long as the business is stable or going up month over month, my ad spend will go up. And that's simple. I run Disruptor Academy. I spend 1% of my profit on ads. And I went from 0 to 18,000 in 4 months, 18,000 MRR in 4 months. I'm not at 1,000 a day yet, but also I'm spending 1% of my budget. Everything else is built on having the rest of the funnel. Now, every business model is different, but I hope that kind of really gets you to an answer of your question here. And again, if you want to dive in more of this stuff, go ahead and DM me. I'm in the Slack. You can find me there. I'm happy to talk with people more and happy to work with folks more. We can find the right fit if you need some more support after that. I'm not here to try to get you all into that stuff, but if you are interested, I'm going to end on this because Shin always reminds me to say these things. So Shin, I'm going to do it now as my heading out. All right. Shin, after every one of these things, man, you should mention these things. So I'm going to do it. Jab, 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 hook, right? That's where we're at this point. If you do want to learn from me, I do have a community where I help people out. It's $97 a month. It's over on School, which is probably the easiest and most accessible place for people to find me. If I can help you make $4 a day, then this becomes profitable for you. Like I said, this started in February. We're at 263 people at 97 a month now. So you can extrapolate the math however you feel. This has been very, very profitable for me because it's very easy for me to make it easy